So how much house can you afford? A question that you should be asking yourself if you're even in the market for a primary residence and or an investment property. One thing that's become very, very popular recently is a multifamily, meaning that it's a 2 to 3 to maybe 4 unit property. And I want to share with you on how using an FHA loan, it requires minimum down payment, and you would actually be able to qualify for more than what you actually would qualify if you were to buy a primary residence. And let me explain. So I really hope that you learned something new. And if you would like to see more videos like this, all I literally ask you to do is drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts down in the comment section. Now, one of the things that I want to share with you is, well, how can I minimize how much I need to put down, right? And I want to start sharing my screen with you so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. A multi-family home is pretty much just, it's going to be an investment property for you. And traditional investment property requires 20% down, but you can actually get a multi-family FHA loan and live in it for at least 12 months. So it's going to be owner occupancy. So you're going to have to live in one of the 3 units. And the goal, at least in this area, right? There's some for 700,000, there's some for $500,000, there's some for 300,000. The goal is to find a triplex. And let me explain. The reason I'm saying that the goal is to find a triplex is, well, I don't know how much you make, right? But let's say that you make anywhere under $100,000 a year. Traditionally, they always say that your gross or your mortgage should be less than 30% of your gross income. Now, obviously, that doesn't really leave you much to work with, because at that point, let's say that you make $100,000 a year, that's $8,333 a month. I mean, at that point, you're really working with around $2,500, right? It's not very much when it comes down to mortgage, an actual mortgage as of right now, especially for an investment property in the $800,000 range. But one thing that I want to share with you is the reason you want to use an FHA loan versus a conventional is because of the down payment incentive. Right away, you go from a 20% needed down payment on a conventional, as it's an investment property. And if you go with an FHA, it's a minimum of 3.5%. So let's say that you have a goal of purchasing a multifamily 3-unit triplex for $800,000. That means in a perfect world, your 3.5% would be equivalent to $28,000. Now at that point, it doesn't seem that far-fetched, right? Especially if you're in the market for potentially buying an investment property. From thinking that you have to put 20% down now to only 3.5%, $28,000 is a little bit more realistic to work with. Now, let me explain to you the fun part. Because you're doing an FHA and you're doing owner occupancy, the reason I'm saying that it should be a triplex or a 4-unit property is because I want you to live in one, right? And this is what is needed with an FHA loan. The really cool thing about this is even in the smaller one, right? Let's say it's a triplex. This would be a 3-unit property. You live in one and you rent out the other 2. The really cool thing about this FHA loan as you're working towards qualifying is, let's say that you find your actual triplex. Let me try to find one real quick in the $800,000 range. So let's go down the list. The really cool thing about this is this would have been a good one. Would it have been? No, that's a 2-unit. So that's a 2-unit. Let's see. I'm going to have to get one. 800,000. Okay. So 865,000. But again, it's been posted for 10 days. Let's say I can negotiate all the way back down to 800,000. In a perfect world, obviously, right? In some areas, it's going to be more. In some areas, it's going to be less. But the really cool thing about this is that you can actually use 75% of your projected rental income from the triplex to actually qualify for your FHA loan. You might be like, Ricky, I don't make $100,000 a year. Dude, I don't care, right? If you work with a lender, especially one that's maybe a little bit more creative, rental rates, this is in Phoenix, Arizona, can go anything above $2,500 a month, right? It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, whatever the case might be, per unit, right? So you have a total of 3 of them. It looks like one of them might actually be a 3-unit one. The really cool thing about that is, well, let's say that your projected rental income, and they're going to try to find ways to verify this, but you want to be as realistic as possible, but also as aggressive as possible, because you get to use 75% of that rental income to actually qualify for that loan. So the really cool thing about this is like, Ricky, I make $60,000 a year. Well, let's do the quick math, right? Let's say that you rent out 2 of the 3 units. That's an additional at $2,500 a month, which is very realistic in Arizona. Some can go up to $3,000, but again, I'm going on the lower end. $2,500 per unit. So you're renting out 2, you're living in 1. That's $5,000 a month that you are now going to be reporting, right? You're going to be collecting as rental income. You can report and use 75% of those $5,000 to actually qualify for that loan. So what that's equivalent to is around $3,750 a month, or $45,000 additional a year is what you actually can now utilize to qualify. So yeah, you might only make $60,000 or $80,000 a year, but now you get to add $45,000 a year to your overall income, right? Because of your projected income by buying this property, by renting out 2 of the units and being able to use 75% of that actual rental income. So you went from being able to maybe afford a $400,000 primary to now being able to afford, right? Because your income not necessarily doubled, but you added an additional $45,000. Now, the really cool thing about this is when asking the question of, well, how much is your mortgage? I went ahead and I pulled this up. I wanted you guys to see in a perfect world, right? $800,000, 3.5% is $28,000 down payment. It's a 30-year loan. Average interest rate is 6.15%. Again, this does not include PMI, so that's probably going to be an additional $200 to $300, whatever the case might be. The goal is to get rid of the PMI, and the goal is to have 20% equity. The really cool thing about this is that, well, let's do very quick math, right? You're going to be buying this triplex and you're going to be collecting $5,000 a month, right? $2,500 per unit, and you're going to be living in 1. Your mortgage in a perfect world is $5,300. So $5,300 your out of pocket is going to be, in a perfect world, around $300, right? And then after 12 months of owner occupancy, so you live in it, and after 12 months, guess what? You can do a cash out refi and or just refi into a conventional loan. You can, hopefully, that property value has increased, and at one point it's going to have at least 80%, right? After a while, you hope to have at least 20% equity, which at that point will get rid of your PMI. So therefore, your mortgage payment should be a little bit cheaper. Hopefully, interest rates go down. So therefore, for those that are asking, well, how much can interest rates actually change it? Let's say that we go to a 3.5% interest rate, right? That goes and takes your payment from a $5,300 monthly payment to $4,000. That's significant, right? But again, we're not looking for the perfect world. We're looking to keep it as realistic as possible. So we're going right back to that 6.15%. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because after 12 months, you can do that you can do that refinance to a conventional loan. And once you do that, you don't have to live in that property anymore if you don't want to. So now you went from $5,000 a month. Even if rental rates stay the same, you now can rent out that 3rd unit. Now you're collecting $7,500 a month. And the great thing about that is, well, now you can use that and report it and use that to be able to qualify for another triplex and then continue this whole process, right? The really cool thing about this is even in a not so perfect world, right? If rental rates stay the same, the beauty of being able to use an FHA loan to minimize your down payment of 3.5%, you can leverage 75% of your projected rental income to therefore qualify for more than what you could actually qualify as an individual or if you were to purchase a primary. That's what I wanted to share with you. Those are the incentives of being able to utilize an FHA loan buying a triplex investment property. You do have to do owner occupancy. And again, speak to a lender, right? One of the biggest challenges that I feel like a lot of people encounter is it just seems so unrealistic for them to purchase a property. But how do you know if how can you work towards something? Because I'm sure if you're watching this video, your goal at one day is to own a property. So how can you be working towards something yet you have no plan in place? The way that I was able to do it at 20 years old as I moved from California to Arizona, I got in contact with a real estate agent and I got in contact with a lender. They built me a roadmap of what I needed, right? Or my income needed to be. where my credit score needed to be, what I needed for a down payment. Those are difficult conversations because it makes you very, very vulnerable. And I know, and I get that. But you can't work towards your goals if they don't set that plan in place. So think about that. It's 2023. If that is actually a goal that you have for this year, I want to connect you with one of my friends. His name is Nick Palladino. He's a real estate agent here in Arizona. Not only is he a real estate agent, but he's also a real estate investor, and he even has short-term rentals. So he's very well connected. So it doesn't matter if you want to go on the primary side, on the investment side, and or the rental property side, right? We do house flips, we do rentals, and he even does, again, the traditional real estate side of things. He's very well connected. I'm going to link him down below. It's the first link in the description. And now is the time to have those difficult conversations. If you're interested in buying, if you're interested in flipping, if you're interested in buying your first triplex, I want you to understand that there are systems out there just like this FHA loan with the minimum down payment, the projected income to help you qualify for more than what you actually think you can. But again, you have to have those vulnerable conversations. So again, I'm going to link his information down below. You guys can message him via Instagram. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to comment down in the comment section. I hope we stay connected. Again, I really like making these videos. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer in future videos, then feel free to shoot me a direct message via Discord. That's that first link, or send me a message via Instagram. And that's that third link in the description down below. Other than that, I really do appreciate your time. Hope that we're into thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.